This video is going to focus on the coastal processes that we see on our UK coastline, today focusing on weathering. So, as a brief reminder, weathering is just when rocks are weakened in their original environment. They are not moved away, because when they are moved away, we call that erosion. So this is just weakening the rocks and leaving them where they are. There are three main types that you have to know. There are physical weathering, there's chemical weathering, and there is biological weathering. And I'm going to talk you through all three of those types in this video. First of all is our physical weathering, and with all weathering, it starts with a crack in the rock. When it rains, the water will fill in that crack, meaning that there is now water in that rock. It then might freeze overnight, or if there is a cold spell, and that water will then freeze. And we all know that when water freezes, it expands. This will then put strain on the rock, making it bigger, making the crack bigger in the rock. When that temperature then warms up again, the water will melt, and that will reduce the size of the crack, meaning that the crack is constantly expanding and contracting every time the water freezes and melts. With that repeated process of freezing and melting, the stress will cause the rock to expand and contract, making it even weaker until the rock eventually breaks. The rock does not move, it does not change its position, it just becomes weaker in its original environment. And that is all physical weathering is. So moving on to chemical weathering is a little bit more complicated. First of all, we start off with a rock with a weakness. Oh, not that one. This rock instead. So this rock has got its weakness, and then it might start to rain. When there is carbon dioxide in the air, it combines with the water in our clouds and it makes acidic rain. So when it rains, and the rock would have to be a alkaline rock, like a limestone in this case, the acidic rain will react with the alkaline rock, and this will break down the rock and it will begin to weather. Again, the rock is not moving, so it is just weathering. It's only weakening the rock in its natural environment. And then finally, biological weathering. Okay, this is the third thing a rock does not want in its crack. So we start off with the rock with a weakness. Then it would be such a shame if there was something that would like to make its home in the rock, like, I don't know, a badger. So this badger, or any other small animal, will try and burrow into the rock, make its home in the rock, try and find food, anything like that. And just the process of the badger burrowing through the rock or scraping away at it would make that crack even bigger. This would cause the weaknesses to get larger and breaking it down. It isn't just animals, it's plants as well. Sometimes roots grow through the rocks. Sometimes a seed from a tree may fall into the crack and it might start to grow there. And this would all weaken the rock through biological weathering. And then finally, in order to be a grade 7 student, you have to be able to say how weathering creates landforms. So the first thing you have to remember is that weathering will always weaken the rock, which makes it more vulnerable to erosion. That's just the generic way to link weathering to landforms. And then a specific example is when there is a crack, cave, arch, stack and stump. The arch, which is this bit here, doesn't collapse because of erosion, because the water doesn't reach that high to take the rock away. Instead, it causes the arch to become weaker, and that would then collapse. And that is it for weathering today.